All right, good afternoon. We're convening the Committee on Water, Land, Culture, and the Arts on our 1:01 p.m. agenda here in State Capitol Conference Room 224. We do have a number of measures on the agenda today, so we're going to make sure folks, if you haven't yet, submit your written testimony. Because we have so much testimony on this, and I'll say I think there's like 1,000 something people who have submitted testimony, and there's probably a good chunk of those who wish to testify. We're going to be limiting folks to 1 minute for your testimony to make sure that there's time to get to everybody. With that, let's go into the first measure, Senate Bill 3019, relating.
Are those testimonies like recorded, and then like where are they given? We have to get through this. Everything is recorded. It'll be online. And then like they're like given like the council,
sorry, if you can just
like reflects on the testimony.
You're gonna have to hold up there.
I'm just curious.
So on SB 3019 relating to consumer protection, this measure prohibits the sale of tickets at higher price than the original price charged by the primary venue ticket provider for events held in the state, and permits the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs to adopt rules to impose fines for any violations. Up first, testifying on this measure is the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, Member of the Committee, Emma Olson for the Office of Consumer Protection. We will stand on our written testimony in opposition. We prefer the price transparency approach in SB 2031. Available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Signed up next to testify on Zoom is Rick Bartolini. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, Chair Lee, Vice Chair Inoue, and members of the committee. My name is Rick Bartolini. For 16 years, I've promoted concerts in Hawaii and brought iconic global artists to the Blaisdell Arena. SB 3019 is simple. It prevents tickets for events in Hawaii from being resold above the original face value. Even the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs acknowledges this measure strengthens consumer protections. Opponents say it reduces choice, but resale does not create more tickets. It does not increase venue capacity. It pulls tickets out of the authorized ticket provider and relists them at higher prices elsewhere. If those tickets stayed with the authorized ticket provider, Hawaii residents would have more choices at face value. Opponents also claim this will push buyers to the dark web, but approximately 85% of resale happens on major platforms like StubHub, SeatGeek, Vivid Seats, and Ticketmaster Resale Exchange. Regulating those dominant platforms addresses the vast majority of activity. This bill does not ban resale or transfers. It simply protects the original face value. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Testifying next is the National Independent Venue Association.
Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee, my name is Kendall Gilvar on behalf of the National Independent Venue Association and the Fix the Ticks Coalition, which is working on similar measures nationwide in strong support of SB 3019. NEVA represents thousands of independent venues, festivals, and performing arts organizations meeting nationwide, including in Hawaii. Our coalition unites venues, artists, arts groups, and independent ticketing companies, all united calling for resale price caps. Resale price caps reduce the incentive for extreme markups, bots, and fake tickets that dominate today's secondary ticketing market in Hawaii. They also send a clear message that Hawaii will not be an easy target for professional scalpers. You will hear opposition from marketplaces that dominate resale calling for a lack of resale price caps, but that market generates hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for price gouging your constituents and consumers. States across the country, almost a dozen now, are enacting and working on these resale price caps, both red and blue, and we offer our advocacy resources to advise and work with your office on pushing forward the resale price cap bill. Thank you.
Good summarize. Thank you. That's everyone who had signed up to testify in person or online on this measure. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 3019? That being said, are there any questions? All right, real quick for DCCA. Thanks. Going through your testimony here, you come out in opposition and then cited ticket transparency. What's the difference between, well, I guess as you explain it here. What's the difference between ticket transparency and ticket scalping?
Ticket transparency requires all of the fees to be included in the price that you see up front. So you're not skipping through all the screens, and then when you go to check out, your price increases by like $30 because of fees that aren't disclosed. And then ticket scalping is the resale of tickets from the original vendors by a third party.
So I'm familiar with the ticket transparency measures. I introduced that last year.
Yes.
We moved it. But how does that stop scalping?
I guess it's a consumer protection approach that's different from scalping. We're more looking at price transparency altogether rather than the secondary market. I think enforcement might be a little bit difficult for our office if there's a total ban on scalping, but that's something that I could look into and get back to you.
So your testimony is not about ticket scalping then,
Right.
and the impacts of that.
No, it's about hidden fees in live ticket event sales, which
So
It's kind of a-
that's a different bill.
a different, yes, we're saying that we support that bill instead of the scalping ban.
Is scalping not an issue for you guys?
Our office does receive some complaints, but we can't take enforcement on scalping issues
Why is that?
because a lot of these scalpers are not in state, and it's difficult for us to have jurisdiction over those resellers.
So it's not a problem in your eyes?
I think that it's a problem that could be approached. I'll have to get back to you on that and talk to my office.
Because your testimony is very strong here. Not only are you opposed, you're saying hold the measure, which is, I've never seen, I think, from a department like yours.
Yes. I think that our department's approach is that we're really set on the fee transparency and aligning with the FTC's rule on hidden fees so that enforcement will be straightforward if we have a state counterpart to that rule.
So that's a bigger issue than,
I believe the department sees that as a bigger issue.
let me just ask, I was just talking with the folks at the Honolulu Symphony. They're hosting an upcoming concert with Joey Saishi, which is kind of exciting. Tickets sold out, like that. Right now, they're online on resale websites for as much as $1,900.
Gosh.
Is that surprising?
That's pretty striking, yes.
That's for the Honolulu Symphony.
Right, yeah. I completely understand and know that this is an issue. I can come back and do some more talking with the department and see if there's any changes to our position.
It would seem to be beyond just a high number, an issue of, well, a whole bunch of issues as it relates to protecting consumers here, because as you had mentioned, a lot of those folks are out of state, so that money tends to go out of state.
Yes.
So in the case of a $1,900 Honolulu Symphony ticket, well, do you have any idea how much they're actually collecting? The symphony's actually collecting?
I don't know.
It's just over $10,
Oh my goodness, yeah.
which means almost $1,900 is going out of state in order for people here to see something that the folks who are reselling the tickets never had a chance or never had an intent to see.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So perhaps you'd like to go back and maybe rethink the testimony?
Yes.
Is that-
I can do that.
Okay. Vice Chair.
Then to add, to continue the discussion, So you're saying that if you're opposing the measure, but we're saying that the department should follow up if this measure passes, becomes law, you're imposing and you're working on rules. So are you saying beforehand right now that you're predicting that hopefully the bill dies, but if this passes, are you saying as well, taking a position that you're not going to follow through to adopt rules?
We are not taking that position. I think if this measure moves forward, then we would certainly work on our enforcement, but we're not taking a position.
Okay, and I agree to the chair and the bill before us today that, yeah, it's just unbelievable that our own people here in our state would pay a lot more to see and to participate in a venue. But it's getting out of hand, and it's no different than symphonies. We can talk about football games or whatever is happening in our state. And I think DCCA should be able to enforce these rules because it has been going on for many years. We all know that as well. But okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Further questions? If not, just one more for you there. I'll just note, your testimony in this exact same measure last year was different. It was a different position. Did something change on your end?
Not to my knowledge. I'm not sure. I believe we took comments last year. Yeah, I can get back to you. I'm not sure.
And I'll actually just note, a few years before, the prior OCP director, before this one, treated this as a pretty critical issue of importance.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I wasn't with the department at the time.
Okay. Well, maybe what we can do is we can follow up offline.
Okay, sounds good.
And this goes to another committee as well, too. So I
Yeah.
think, it's best that, we just move the measure along and take it from there.
Yeah, I'll just go real quick online to, I guess both the folks who are online. For the National Independent Venue Association first, I'm just curious from the national front, what are other states doing right now on this, and what does that enforcement look like?
Sure. Yeah, this is not a controversial issue. The only people who are opposing resale price cap bills, as you'll see from the comments submitted, are organizations like SeatGeek and StubHub, who have billions of dollars to gain from price gouging your constituents. And therefore, a number of states across the country are moving resale price caps specifically in the 2025-2026 session. It's almost a dozen at this point: Delaware, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Washington State, Washington, D.C., Wisconsin, Maryland, West Virginia, Kansas, Vermont. And I know that there are others coming up in this state legislature. Enforcement is, being sorted out by a number of venues and arts colleagues across the country, but is absolutely possible. And we would encourage the legislature to regulate out-of-state actors that are duping Hawaiians. And it's very, very possible. And it's actively happening right now. And we've actually received buy-in from a number of attorney general's offices in helping us enforce this bill.
Thank you. Let me go real quick to Mr. Bartolini, if you're still with us.
Hello.
Thanks. Well, I guess from your position in the industry here in Hawaii, to what extent has this been an issue lately?
Well, I think we had a ticket buyer that submitted testimony for Josh Groban. The original ticket price was $70.50, and he paid $250, and those were like nosebleeds at the Blaisdell Arena.
Oh.
And then in 2014 for Carrie Underwood, the tickets were $695, and the consumer paid for 4 tickets $9,000.
Wow.
Oh, and I'd just like to follow up with the DCC person. The Transparency Act is already law, and Ticketmaster and SeatGeek and StubHub are all following that law. You know, when you click on the ticket, you get the actual price of the ticket with the fees.
Thanks.
So that's not an issue.
I sure would like to know how much you paid for Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, are there any further questions? Seeing none, thank you everybody for your time. Let's move on to the next measure. Up next is Senate Bill 3311 relating to the Strengthen Hawaii Homes program, which establishes the program under the Department of Land and Natural Resources to award grants for qualified mitigation projects to mitigate against loss from fire, and provides eligibility criteria for residential property owners to receive grants and guidelines for contractors and assessors to perform work on mitigation projects. Testifying first on 3311 is DLNR.
Good afternoon.
Aloha and Gong Hee Fat Choi, Chair Lee, Vice Chair Inoue, and members of the committee. My name is Michael Walker. I serve as the statewide fire protection forester for the Department of Land and Natural Resources, Division of Forestry and Wildlife. The department has submitted testimony in support of this measure. In summary, the need for the program is now. The program is modeled on other programs that have been used successfully in states on the continent. It's based on research performed by Headwaters Economics, which has been incorporated into the Kauai County Wildland Urban Interface Code for plantation villages to reduce ignitions by ember showers. The department is supportive of creating the program within the department for now, but ultimately we see this program really lying within the Office of the State Fire Marshal. However, since the Fire Marshal's office is an office of one right now, we accept to begin the program and then transfer when capacity is met there. Mahalo.
Thank you. Testifying next is DCCA.
Afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Matt Sujimura on behalf of the Insurance Division. You have our written testimony, so the Insurance Division will stand on its written comments, but happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. That's everyone who had signed up to testify in SB 3311. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in this measure? Seeing none, are there questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, everyone. Let's move on to the next measure, SB 2979, relating to community co-management agreements, which authorizes DLNR and community-based organizations to enter into community co-management agreements concerning state lands, and makes other amendments. Testifying first is DLNR.
DLNR stands on our testimony.
Thank you. Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Good afternoon. We stand on our testimony and show support.
Thank you. Kuaina Ulu Aomo.
Aloha, Kevin Chang for Kuaina Ulu. We stand on our testimony as it is for the
Thank you. Malama Pupukea Waimea.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. On behalf of Ma'alama Pupukea Waimea from the North Shore of Oahu, we're in strong support, and I just want to echo Kevin's comments about KUA's amendments being common sense ways to keep this bill moving forward. Mahalo, and it's just a pleasure to have such strong collaboration between DLNR and the communities on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Huimaka Ainana o Makana.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Chipper Wickman, Vice President of the Hui Makainano Makana. First off, Chair, thank you for personally introducing this bill. This is super important to our community. The Hui has been at the point of this, but this is now a statewide Pai'aina effort, and it's really, really important. The one point I'd like to say is when our companion bill was heard in the House, there was confusion over this 65-year limit for state leases. That's not a mandate that co-management agreements are 65 years. The department has complete authority on the length of that period of time. So I just want to clarify that it's up to DLNR as they work with each of our nonprofits, what is the appropriate term of a co-management agreement? So somehow there was confusion on the House bill around that. And we do strongly support, not only CUA's requested amendments, but the amendments requested by DLNR. We've been working closely in a co-management working group for 6 months on this, so thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Ko'olau Foundation. Good afternoon.
I also stand in strong support of the written testimony and came up here because I wanted to say hello to the three of you. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Please pass this out with the amendments suggested by CORE.
Testifying next is Moana Ohana.
I'll make it simple. I stand on my testimony and in strong support of this co-management bill as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Nature Conservancy.
Nature Conservancy stands on certain testimony and strong support and also echoes those recommendations.
Thank you. Ko'olau Poko Hawaiian Civic Club. Tiraki. Aloha.
Hello, my co-chair, members of the committee. I seek strong support of this bill. This is a fact. I think the LNR is trying to fix some of the mistakes they did in the past, like the leasing of the Hia State Park, where they leased it to an outside venue from the state of Virginia that doesn't even vote in the state of Hawaii, and it should be kept within our own community in the state of Hawaii. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Sierra Club of Hawaii. Thank you. We also had Hui Makainana o Makana, William Kinney on Zoom.
Hi, here, my name is on here as Billy William, same thing. Hello, Mike Ako, Mahalo Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. Billy Kinney, I am currently the Assistant Director of the Hui Makainana o Makana. I stand on my written testimony on behalf of the Hui. We strongly support SB 2979 with the amendments proposed by KUA and DLNR. But I would only add, as Uncle Chipper said, that this is not just a movement in pockets around Hawaii, like little places here and there. This is kind of a statewide thing that is now going to proliferate all over as you folks continue to hear this bill and these measures around community co-management. And then I would finally just add one last thing, that even Don Chang, former chair of BLNR, she was often noted as saying that there is success in the relationships built through shared kuleana or responsibility, as those that were curated in Ha'ena between the Hui and state parks. And former chair even said that she had a pathway forward, and that was co-management. So mahalo.
Thank you. Testifying next is Hui Aloha Kiholo on Zoom.
Hello, my kako. My name is Keko Alip. I am with Hui Aloha Kiholo, here calling from the Big Island. I am in strong support of this bill. I believe that there's proven results already from co-management entities, such as those like ourselves. I believe it's collaborative with the community to allow this bill to pass. And I also think that it could provide some really critical jobs in a species that we do educational outreach in the community. I think letting them know that there are entities like this that they are able to take part in. So job security is also one of those things that really come to mind. So mahalo for your time and allowing me to share my voice for this testimony. Strong support. Aloha.
Aloha. Testifying next is Chad Wiggins. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Aloha mai kako. My name is Chad Wiggins. I reside in Waimea, Lalamilo, South Kohala, Moku'oke'awe. I'm in strong support of this bill with the amendments recommended. I have about 20 years experience co-developing community-driven management plans in Hawaii. And over that course of time, looking into co-management, I've learned a lot about humility. Our community knows more than any person, no matter how educated, and involving community in decision-making is the path forward. Community has a kuleana, which is a responsibility and a privilege to take care of a place and a right to take care of a place. It puts a lot of accountability on their shoulders. When the authority exists outside the accountability, we get a lot of tension and conflict. So I think this is a step to reunite authority and accountability. My only recommendation is to spell out the co in co-management. What does that co mean?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Uilani Naipo.
I make aloha ya kakoa pau Uilani Naipo, Marine Advocate for Place-Based Governance. Strong support. I submitted my testimony. I stand on it. I just wanted to highlight that I am one of the organizations in the 15 active ones in West Hawaii that will benefit from this. Many of us are informal, and we're informal because we don't have such an agreement that will solidify our partnerships with the agencies. So please pass this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And on Zoom, Joelle Edwards.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, that is everyone who had signed up to testify in this measure. Is there anyone else wishing to testify? Please come forward. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, my name is Barbara Quimby. I'm a resident of Kailua. I submitted written testimony late, and I do stand on that testimony in support of this measure, as well as the amendments proposed by Kauai.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Seeing none, are there any questions?
Aloha. Online, we have people that want to testify as well.
Sorry, have you signed up to testify online?
No, but as I'm waiting for, as I'm waiting for the other items, I want to.
Yeah, to be clear, we have to be fair to everybody who took the time to sign up because there's not going to be enough time to get to everyone. So appreciate your comments, but we'll have your written testimony for the time
But
being.
really quickly, one last thing.
IT, could you please?
No, I don't.
Left her up.
Thank you. I apologize, everyone. We have to be fair here. There's not enough time to get to everybody. If you took the time to sign up or even show up, we try to make sure everybody has that opportunity. That said, are there any questions on 2979? No. Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, SB 2351. Relating to the State Park Special Fund, which authorizes the Department of Land and Natural Resources to expend the monies from the State Park Special Fund for programs aimed at environmental protection. Testifying first is the Department of Land and Natural Resources.
Chair, Vice Chair, Alan Carpenter.
Good afternoon.
Acting Administrator for State Parks will stand on our written testimony in opposition.
Thank you. Hui Aloha Kiholo. Thank you. Next is on Zoom, Tax Foundation.
Aloha and good afternoon. Colleen Taramai on behalf of Tanya Machika. I'm also driving, so that's why there's no video. The Tax Foundation stands on its written testimony. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Was she on, oppose, or support?
Comments. Uilani Naipo.
Uilani Ilani Naipo in strong support. Submit my testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. And on Zoom, Kurt Cottrell.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay. That's everyone who had signed up to testify in SB 2351. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify? Let's move forward.
I'll be very quick, Chair and Vice Chair. Chipper Wickman, Hyanna resident. We've been working with state parks for over 20 years in the Hyanna State Park, which is one of the parks generating revenue that's going into the special fund. I believe it's critical that that money remain in the special fund for use in other parks that cannot generate that kind of revenue. Once we dilute that by siphoning that off, even for well-meaning projects outside of parks, it's going to diminish that special fund and the ability of parks to support it. Kirk Cottrell had some excellent testimony, so I support everything he said.
So you're in
Thank you.
opposition?
I'm in opposition, sorry. I did get mine in, but maybe it was late.
Yeah. Yeah, we have that here.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Are there any questions? Just for state parks. You can come up for a second. Thanks. The intent here obviously is to make, I think, best use of resources. For your testimony, you had noted, obviously, there's been a more recent infusion of cash into the State Park Special Fund. How much of that is basically programmed or planned to be used?
All of it. And so we are working on several initiatives. Mainly, we're trying to work on a preferred contractor contract, which will allow us to more efficiently return money for heavy R&M, which is something that we've relied on CIP funds for in the past, which meant that it took forever and they were very intermittent. They weren't regular maintenance. We have an incredibly aging state park system. As I like to say, the state park system and myself are about the same age. Neither of us is aging very gracefully, and we can't just make things pretty on the surface, which is, those are the splashy projects, but every time we turn around, we're finding something that's broken under the ground. And most recently, we had to turn off our bathrooms at Sand Island State Recreation Area because of electrical blowouts. We're just building our first compliant ADA campsite at Ke'ivaheo State Recreation Area of Mauka, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to open it because the water line burst under the surface because it's 50 years old, right? So every time we turn around, we're finding another infrastructure issue. I can see a future where we could give some of this money back for well-meaning projects. Until we bring our parks up to the standards of our resources, we need this money, and we need to reinvest it.
Thanks. How much right now of that special fund, there's, I don't have it right in front of me, but is it 30 some odd $1 million?
Yeah, so I think we have 30, if we hit our target this year, and there's always little glitches with procurement and things like that, we'll spend around 33 million, which is literally all of our ceiling. And just for your information, that ceiling is artificially inflated so we can reinvest because we weren't able to spend all our money since we started accruing it. So if we spend that, our special fund will be going down because we're generating 25 million in revenue with a $33 million special fund ceiling.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Vice Chair.
Or a comment, actually. The governor has floated this green fee project of his. And I'm just curious if State Parks was one of those that are trying to get some of those funds back into your agency, but with your special fund, you should be able to address a lot of the issues you did, and actually, it's more like a shortfall because there's so many projects statewide that you need to address. You didn't participate in that green fee ask.
So great question. The green fee, I think we had modest asks, things that we wouldn't normally do. And they included like fire mitigation plans statewide, which is an emerging issue. as well as conversion of cesspools, which is an environmental issue for our recreational cabins up in Kokei. But our ask was very minimal, deferring to the other divisions in the agency who don't have the kind of robust funds that we have ourselves.
Okay. All right, thank you. Keep up the good work you folks have been doing statewide. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your support.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all right, thank you. Let's move
Thank
on
you.
to the next measure, SB 2918, relating to the Hawaii Community Development Authority, which requires HCDA to establish a community action center in Chinatown. Testifying first on 2918 is HCDA. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, member of the committee. Craig Nakamoto, Executive Director for Hawaii Community Development Authority. In the time that I have, I'll try to be brief and hit the high points. So I appreciate the idea in this bill and thinking about HCDA for carrying it out and the confidence that you have in HCDA for doing it, and for all the supporters that have confidence in HCDA to carry out this. I would say, though, that my comments really focus around really jurisdiction and geography, and just because we can doesn't mean we should. The jurisdiction here, I think, is in city jurisdiction. I think the city and county is deeply invested in Chinatown, and I think they should continue their work. Sorry.
I can't hear you.
So I'll go over it. So I'll make 2 or 3 comments. One, it's about jurisdiction and geography, and just because you can doesn't mean we should. So jurisdiction and geography, the city and county of Honolulu is deeply invested in this area, and I think they should continue to do that work. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. Act 252, as you know, Chair, Vice Chair, allows us to do work in other jurisdictions. But I think when you look at all the work that we have to do, I think there's other things that I feel we should focus on that have higher value, like doing the infrastructure and roads at UH West Oahu, doing Ivole Kapalama, electrical work in Saratoga. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Governor Abercrombie. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senators, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Chairman, I had not anticipated that the HCDA would take this position. Our situation here in Honolulu is expanding. Part of the reason we're here advocating for this, I work in Chinatown. I've been there ever since I left the governorship. I've built apartments in Chinatown, permanent rentals in Chinatown. We're going right now to build an unused commercial space to put in housing, permanent rental housing for the houseless people. Of course, the city is working with us on this. This is exactly what I wanted the HCDA to be doing when it was established and when I was governor. You want to talk about geography? HCDA right now is talking to the university about doing housing out at West Oahu College. What jurisdiction is that if it's not Chinatown? I commend these committees for seeing how important this is. Just a couple of more points. Chinatown is less than a 10-minute walk from the cruise ships coming in here right now. This is a state issue. This is that the HCDA is uniquely qualified to do. If maybe we need some changes in the HCDA to get people who are looking for work to do, looking to see how they can coordinate with the modern 21st century city. Chinatown needs precisely this kind of community center, and I will tell you, the people in Chinatown, the small businesses, the people who live there, the people who work there like I do, the people who are committed to Chinatown will work with the HCDA to see that this is done. You should be grabbing this opportunity.
I'd ask you to summarize, Governor.
That's pretty much my summary.
I have some,
Thank you.
can I disagree with you, much as I love you, Governor?
It won't be the first time, Senator, thank you.
I know, but I disagree with you with regards to your statement with the comments that HCDA had provided, because HCDA is under the state's kuleana.
Yes.
Now, I live in Chinatown, okay? In my home away from home, being a
Yes, of
big
course.
islander. And I understand, and I'm really happy that Mayor Blangiardi is taking over and making sure the statements are correct, that Taiwan should be involved with making sure that they take care of their own building, that I love to go eat dim sum there. However, though, I disagree with the comments that you made because I need HCDA to complete our work that we have been waiting for over 20 years to redevelop Banyan Drive. So our people here can have their rooms back at reasonable prices to go to Hilo and visit. So we have a big project we're working on getting Banyan Drive going and making sure it brings back to where I worked for 21 years, back into the shape, and we need HCDA.
Absolutely.
However, though, this is, and I'm happy, your mayor, and as myself as being a former mayor as well, has done a really good job cleaning up, and I commend you. You have been involved with it, getting rid of the homeless and straightening out Chinatown. And Chinatown should be a Chinatown that we all visit out in our other states as well. But, good luck to you. But this is one, Governor, I did tell you, I love you, but I'm going to object to your position. But we'll help, and I'll go back and have my dinners in Chinatown.
May I respond just very briefly?
Sure.
We're not
Well,
actually.
it depends on my chair, if
May I just a
allow
moment?
you.
Senator, we are not in disagreement. Quite the opposite. What I mentioned about the geography is, this is precisely what I'm saying. Whether it's Kapolei, whether it's West Oahu, whether it's Banyan Tree, if the HCDA has been assigned to it, it's been assigned to it because of the unique capacity that HCDA has to get through procurement, to get through zoning.
And I'm glad you recognize that.
I do.
And that's why we continue to make sure that HCDA survives to doing projects on government lands
Yes.
as well, and on government features that we need to make sure our communities throughout the state are well addressed in good development plans.
As you know, the Big Island, and particularly in your jurisdiction, never had a stronger supporter than yours truly. So
I know,
what I'm
I know.
saying is HCDA was uniquely organized. I was there in 1974 and 5 when HCDA came into existence. So I'm quite familiar with the reasons why and how it's supposed to work, and it's uniquely equipped. Now, if they say there are other things to be done, of course there are other things to be done. Part of the reason that we're here, Mr. Chairman, is very important, is heart now is in Chinatown. That's why the community center, as outlined here, really needs to be done. I'm not saying instead of other things. I'm saying this is an addition whose time has come. And that's the reason that we're here.
And I'm glad you're working hard for Chinatown. Good luck.
See,
Okay.
you and me,
bye.
I won't quit.
Okay, bye, Gov. Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Chair.
Thank you. Real quick for HCDA. Thanks. Well, you heard the governor, I think, and some of the other comments. In your mind, is HCDA doing everything it's supposed to be doing, or are you limited or constrained by resources, or what's the situation?
So, people at the legislators who know me, I think I can honestly say that when a project is asked of me, I'm more likely to say yes, can do, more than no, can do. But I also, in the constraints that we have as an agency, just in terms of the various projects, I also have to be discriminate about what projects we do. So what Governor Abercrombie mentions is UH West Oahu. That is part of our statutory mandate for TOD, and that's critically important for that area. Iwole Kapalama is also important. Kalailua, we're also trying to do. We also have a project in Central Maui, Pulehunui, where we're trying to do infrastructure for the state lands there. So if there's another government agents, and for those projects, I think we're uniquely capable to do it, and we're the ones that are going to do it. But in this instance where the city is already doing work here in Chinatown, has done work, and will continue to do it to improve it. Mayor Blangiardi, I believe, is committed to do it, as well as the city. So if there's somebody else to do it and they're already invested in it, I would suggest that they continue doing it with help from the legislature directly, is my suggestion.
One of the things that, and I haven't talked to the author of the bill about specific intent beyond, it's a bill for Chinatown to do community center. What's contemplated in this measure goes beyond, I think, traditionally what the city has done in some cases, if I'm reading things right. It's not just a physical space, but it is actual build out and programmatic community engagement and all those sorts of things. Is that how you read this?
I do, but I disagree that the city is not capable of doing it. I think they're capable of doing it. One of the tasks in here is to work with HART on the redesign of a station. That's totally within the city's jurisdiction. Working on a strategic plan for economic vitalization. I don't think that's anything new to the city. Seeking additional state funding to develop areas. I think this city is well equipped to do it. As far as procuring, I mean, I think they can procure as well and as probably as fast as we can. So I disagree with that notion, Chair. I think that there's things in here that they can do just as well as we can.
I would agree that the city is capable, but, you know, I've been here for 40 some odd years, and things are pretty well the same for the most part. I'm not faulting anybody who's come before or is here now. But overall, if you look to other places, I think there are some clear examples of agencies in other cities that have been able to radically transform different communities with a little bit of will and a little bit of collaboration, even if it means moving beyond their status quo. I raise this because one of the testifiers, interestingly, on this measure is the former director of HCDA, who testified that this is a good thing that's worthy of action.
So just to note, Mr. Daniel was a former executive director of the Hawaii Community Development Authority back in the, I think, early or late 2000s. And interesting to note, he's also a board member of SHADE. You know, I spoke to the principal member of SHADE, Mr. Sakamoto, about this and expressed the same views I have in this bill. So I acknowledge Mr. Daniel's testimony, but I still maintain the same comments I have. Thank you.
And just to add, you know.
Sorry, just real quick. So you're essentially saying find another agency?
I'm not saying find another agency. I'm saying this, the city is already working in Chinatown to revitalize it. That's my testimony, Chair, is the city is well invested in Chinatown. I believe it has the support of the mayor. And given that there's an agency to do it, it's not like there's no other agency to do it. You know, unlike maybe on Banyan Drive, where I think we're really the only state agency that can plan, master plan and develop Banyan Drive. I think this one, there is another alternative, and the alternative is the city and county. They're there already.
Well, just to add too, the city and county is gaining on this because they collect the real property taxes. And everyone who's there with their lands, they pay the city tons of money. And I think correctly, I support HCDA's viewpoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Chair, I just want to make one last comment is, you know, I'm not one to run away from work, you know, as, you know, someone might suggest, but I'm willing to do a lot of things, and I'm willing, like I said, I'm more of a yes can do than a no can do, but I do have to be discriminative about the projects we do, then look at the relative value of it versus other things we're doing. And that's really the balance that I'm trying to sort of express in this testimony, maybe not artfully, but this is what I'm trying to say. But I acknowledge the intent of this and the good intentions behind this bill.
It seems we can follow up on other conversations. It just strikes me that this is I think 2 years of conversations over various projects and programs and capacity to put into HCDA, and it is somewhat frustrating that there's been, I think to your point, say, yes, we can if, but it's been at every corner, at least in our conversations, no. And, each project has its own merits and its own situation, but the capacity that we've offered HCDA, not only in a bill last year that gives you new financing tools and other things, and offered additional resources for staffing, which you declined, now puts us in this position where you're saying you have to pick and choose. And so the question that comes to us on the legislative side, at least in my time here, has been responsibility for us to weigh in and not ultimately let departments make those decisions if they feel resource constrained and have to choose between projects, but rather have that partnership between the legislature and the departments to collectively choose which projects go forward. So I know you guys are here for a number of other projects, not only Bang and Drive, but other things. I mean, do we then, and this is just kind of rhetorical, have to ask, all right, what should we enable you to do and what should we not? So we can follow up offline, but appreciate the conversation.
So Senator, let me just respond to one thing, if you don't mind, if I may. So under Act 252, you and I worked very closely on that, kind of intensely at times to get to a finish on Act 252, and we did. That gives us more power. On the question of staffing, at that present time when Act 252 was going through, I wasn't sure what kind of staffing I needed because I wasn't sure what kind of projects we would be getting. And, just out of careful stewardship of state resources, I'm kind of loath to ask for staffing until I know what my needs are. As to that funding mechanism in Act 252, if you're talking about the $180 million bond ceiling cap that was really earmarked for the stadium development and other bond authority, I think you're aware, and I don't have to say this, I hope I don't have to repeat this, but a bond issuance comes with the repayment obligation. As soon as the first bond is issued, the first dollar.
Director, let me stop you there, just because we're short on time.
Okay.
We can continue the conversation.
But
offline.
just getting bond issuance doesn't mean we have money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, further questions on that? Sorry, we're in question and answer. We have a lot of testimony. There was a time to testify.
Something that she said that the city is giving the money to make these projects. However, there is 19,000
Yeah,
people that
let me
don't have
stop you. We
yes.
appreciate you guys
That don't have
being
housing.
here. There's an order to be respectful to everybody's time. We're not going to be able to get through everything.
Making profit while these people are being homeless.
So let's move on to the next measure.
How is that? How is that?
SB 3029,
You're borrowing forces, you're taking away from the food, everything.
relating to community development.
May I speak to the last bill?
Given the situation here, we're running short on
I was
time.
implicated in his testimony, I'd like to respond.
Yeah, I think let's move on.
If one of the members would like to ask you a question.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll give you a little bit more
Okay.
background on the bill if you want to know.
We'll follow up afterward with everybody. So, guys, we're not going to turn this into a discussion. I understand it can be frustrating at times. We have a limited window of time to get through bills that a lot of people have come just as far for. So when there's an opportunity to testify in a bill, if you've signed up, we really want to make sure everybody has that chance and make sure that we have an opportunity to get through some of these things.
And just to add, I'm sorry, ma'am, just to add, if these bills doesn't make it till the end of the agenda, some of these bills are gonna die because this is the week that we need to make sure all of the committee bills are back into its sync. And otherwise, we don't have time. This committee is targeted to adjourn at about 2:30 or whatever, but
Let's move on.
We don't have
We're
time,
moving on
sorry.
to SB 3029 relating to community development. which requires in each county collaboration with Hawaii Community Development Authority to establish a summer streets pilot program that closes vehicular traffic and repurposes roads for pedestrian and cyclist use, outdoor events, and other community-driven activities. Testifying first on 3029 is the Department of Health. You guys thought I was going to say HCDA, didn't you? Okay, up next, HCDA.
So Chair, Vice Chair, in the interest of time and the time deadline, I'm standing on my comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next on Zoom is the Hawaii Public Health Institute. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Patty Hazis-Davrakis, and I am the Active Transportation Specialist with Hawaii Public Health Institute. The Hawaii Public Health Institute, in conjunction with the Healthy Eating and Active Living Statewide Coalition, support this measure and stand on our comments. We ask that you pass this measure, and I thank you very much for your time and for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Up next is Eduardo Hernandez. I believe HBL. If not, on Zoom, Tara Rojas.
Aloha, Taro has
Good
raised
afternoon.
concerns- Aloha, concerns about access, equity, unintended consequences, and meaningful community participation. Closing or repurposing streets, even though it sounds really great, even temporarily.
Ms. Rojas, can you turn your camera on, please?
Let me just finish. Can directly impact local residents, workers,
Can you-
kupuna, people with disabilities, and families who rely on vehicle
Ms. Rojas,
access. The inclusion
you've
of
testified here several days now.
Can I finish?
Could you please turn your camera on? It's part of
Wait, one
the
sec. Also,
rules that we have in
raises-
place to make sure
also raises
everybody.
significant-
IT, can you please mute her?
Okay.
Guys, I just want to be clear.
Okay.
A lot of folks go out of their way to take the time to come down here and show up, as you know. A lot of folks can't make it and are online, but we try to be fair to everybody, make sure everybody has that opportunity on whatever that issue is that's important to them. I wish we had more time to give everyone as much opportunity as they wanted to say from the top of their lungs.
Wait, may
So
I have.
we're going to ask everyone
May I finish
to
my
abide by the
testimony? Let me read
rules.
it again. I'm trying to finish my 1 minute for 3029.
Okay.
I have.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Ms. Ross, your video is now on. You're welcome to finish your testimony. You can take the next 30 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
Please
Okay.
proceed.
Wait, no, I have a minute. I raised. This is the Senate rules. You have to follow the rules or I would be forced. Meaningful community participation, even temporarily, closing or repurposing streets can impact local residents, workers, kupuna, people with disabilities, and family who rely on vehicle access. The inclusion of HCDA also raises significant concern. They hold broad development authority, you just heard, and a track record of centralized decision-making that does not always reflect direct community input, community participation, or cultural accountability. Public spaces should not be placed in frameworks that increase centralized control without clear safeguards, transparency, and community participation. Also, so-called temporary pilot programs also become permanent.
Ms. Ross, I'm going to ask you to
The bill
summarize.
establishes a pathway for expansion through reporting. So I'm going to summarize that. That's my testimony, and just for sticking to format and not listening to community voices just to get things through. That is super heavy. We're taking our time on, even though we're here in person or online. You should respect, and not just because we're not signed up, because there's 2,000 to 5,000
Thank you, Ms.
votes that we
Rojas.
have to be watching at.
Okay, that is SB 3029. Are there any questions on this measure from anybody? Seeing none. Thank you, everyone. Let's move on to the next measure, SB 3148, which, relating to the use of public lands, which defines public uses of lands as uses by an agency either directly or through disposition. I'll just note we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more bills, 7 bills roughly on the agenda today. I'm going to note for the audience, because this is one of those measures that has a ton of input and testimony, which we appreciate from everybody, that we're going to be deferring this measure because of a whole bunch of issues it has. So I'm going to say that on the outset, so that folks are aware. We're gonna certainly make an opportunity for folks to say something if they like, but if we take too much time on this measure, we're not gonna get to the others. And since almost universally the testimony is in opposition to this one, I'd ask folks to consider standing on your testimony if you so choose. So with that, on 3148, is there, first of all, let me do a quick poll. Is there anyone in the room who still wishes to testify in 3148? Come forward.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Luke Sarvis with the DLNR Chair's Office. I just wanted to note that we do not object to this deferral. If that saves anybody any time, then great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Please come forward, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
My name is Willie Taylor Robello, and I stand in strong opposition to this bill like everybody else. I wish to have it for future generations, and my sons and everybody else's sons here. For me, color, race, creed, where you come from, no matter. But these beaches, these lands where I grew up on and played, I feel should be free in the Canada for everybody. It shouldn't be in any way.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else on this measure? And again, I'll note we're deferring the measure, which means it's not moving forward.
I can say we're here, I oppose it, I made a point, and speaking that I absolutely oppose it, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Me as well.
So noted.
I think we could be creative with how we use public lands and not always think that they have to be for research or resorts or housing, to like really think about where are your like houselessness congregated and think like they're doing drugs, so they're like tapped into.
If you're gonna
Yes. No, I'm
continue on,
opposing.
would you like to
So
come forward?
Oh, yeah, may I?
Yeah.
Okay. What a blessing. I feel so honored. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Your time limited too.
I know,
though.
I appreciate that. I understand that. I will not ramble, even though I'm very grateful. So I have actively chosen to be houseless because I have felt that like the island and the land like needs more people to actually be like grounded in. And what I have noticed in life is that when there are like a lot of houseless people, it usually was where the Aina or the island life or the land life is like, I'll wait until people are like paying attention.
So we're paying attention. So
Okay,
you're
I'm not
opposing
sure,
this
you're
bill.
paying attention.
You're
So
paying-
what I was saying is that when you see like a lot of houseless people congregated, it means like the island life is like huge. So instead of thinking about just like housing or commercial or whatever, maybe you could use houseless people who are living there as leaders for what needs to be used for that land, because they're doing drugs because they feel the land power, and there's not a lot of places to feel land power. There's not a lot of public spaces anymore. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else on this measure? Again, we're not moving the measure forward if you're testifying in opposition.
Aloha Chair and Vice Chair Inouye and members of the committee. Kalaui Hawaii stands on our testimony in opposition to Senate Bill 3148. And we just want to remind this committee that laying out beach chairs on our shores is not a public use. Building the 30-meter telescope is not a public use. Mining and logging is not a public use. Building an Amazon warehouse is not a public use. Building a resort is not a public use. So if if this measure would have passed, it would have allowed all these private uses to be considered public. And mahalo nui for deferring the measure. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, is that everybody on this measure?
30 seconds. And thanks so much, Chair, for deferring this measure. I just wanted to share the section that would be considered public uses, those are uses, and a lot of these uses, right? Like, generally, nothing prevents these uses from being approved. All the court said is start with a presumption of public use and access. And for some of these things, like if it's a quarry, if it's a mine, if it's office space, very easily you can just, the public shall or shouldn't be, in these spaces. You're going to have a hard time, though, when it comes to beaches. And that's really what this is about. And there's a whole court case that provides background on what, just why the DLR is thinking on this. But I just want to say, we've seen this kind of shady end runs around the Constitution, around public trust for years and years, like multiple administrations. And so I'd really encourage you to, for me, the bigger problem is the staff in the Attorney General's office who are providing the kind of advice that leads to this kind of legislation. So that's the only point I want to make. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else on this measure? All right.
Yes, aloha. So,
Yes, we have several on Zoom.
I stand in strong support.
Sorry,
or
IT, is that-
I support that you deferring this.
Yes, Chair, it is.
Okay. Okay, thank you very
Aloha,
much.
Tara Lopez.
All right, are there any questions?
No.
We have some
Seeing
folks that
none.
would like to testify on Zoom.
How many do we have?
We have about 7, Chair.
And were they signed
Need
up?
it again.
Yes, they are signed up to testify.
Okay. I'm going to ask those testifiers if you're willing to stand on your testimony. We are really short on time, and other people's bills we're not going to be able to get to. But if there is anyone, if you could just raise your hand, and IT, if you could let us know if there's anybody there. We have one?
Hello,
Okay.
Kako. My name is Jackie Keefe. Thank you for deferring this measure. I just think it's important for me to say that you've mentioned respecting people's time in this meeting, but you did wait until you got to this measure to defer this measure. So if you wanted to respect people's time, it would have actually been respectful if when you got there, you did defer this measure, knowing that almost every single testimony was in opposition except by DLNR. And I also just wanted to express that I've been really disappointed watching the way that this meeting has shook out. There's been a lot of bickering with people that are testifying, but also just speaking over people. And it's not a level of respect that I want to see from my elected representatives. So I would just please ask you to do better. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Frankel.
Thank you. Senators, I just want to say this bill is an embarrassment. It's embarrassing that the chair of the BLNR, the former chair, and the current interim chair supported it. It's embarrassing that it cleared the Attorney General's office. It's embarrassing that Governor Green made it part of his administrative package. It is so poorly written. It is so poorly thought out. And the philosophy behind it is so misguided. It's an embarrassment. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Please proceed.
Aloha, thank you for deferring this bill. My name is Tina Holt and I'm in strong opposition. I couldn't say it better than Jackie did before, so I'll basically leave it at that. And I also would really love to remind the senators that homeless people are not to be gotten rid of. They're whole people in our society that need our support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that everybody online?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. That's cute. There's a heart on the screen. Thank you. Okay. Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to SB 2916 relating to the state archives, which appropriates funds for the planning, design, and environmental studies for the archives. And testifying first is Dags.
And now for something completely different. Chair, Vice Chair, Senator, thank you for this opportunity. Representing Comptroller Keith Regan, I am Dr. Adam Jansen, your state archivist. DAG stands in strong support on its written testimony. And I want to add that the master plan that we've been undergoing for the last 2 years is going to be done this summer. To keep this project moving forward, we need these funds so that we don't retard it another year. The master plan clearly shows the building is out of space. And with Aloha Stadium shutting down and transferring 10 pallets of materials for long-term preservation, we have no place to put it. So to keep that project moving forward, I would please ask you to consider funding this so that the plan can continue forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a comment that we're making sure that our Hilo Archives building is moving along as well.
If that was in my portfolio, I would
Okay,
love to
all
work
right.
on that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That's everyone who had signed up to testify. Is there anyone else here for SB 2916? Seeing none, any other questions? Seeing none, all right, let's move on to SB 2692 relating to public land, which authorizes the Department of Land and Natural Resources to acquire through eminent domain leasehold interest in the Grand Naniloa Golf Course. And testifying first is DLNR. Thank you. HCDA?
Stand on our written testimony and support.
Thank you. Okay, that's everyone who signed up to testify on 2692. Is there anyone else here on that measure? Seeing none, other questions? No. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to the next measure, SB 3034, relating to coastal zone management, which is going to establish a coastal resilience acquisition and leaseback program. Testifying first is the Department of Land and Natural Resources. Thank you. Up next is Surfrider Foundation on Zoom.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Hannah Lilly. I'm the Hawaii Regional Manager for Surfrider Foundation, testifying in strong support of this measure. I want to thank Senator Lee for introducing this bill, which has sparked an important conversation as reflected in the depth of testimony that we've seen. We also really appreciate the thoughtful concerns raised by DLNR. These implementation details can and should be clarified during this process, including the eligibility criteria, valuation standards, funding stability, and leaseback structure. However, refining details should not distract from the underlying reality, which is across our island, shoreline properties are increasingly no longer defensible. I want to call attention to OPSD's 2025 statewide managed retreat study. Recommendation 14 of that study specifically calls for a state-run voluntary buyout/leaseback program. SB 3034 operationalizes that recommendation and provides a statutory framework that Hawaii currently lacks. This study was commissioned by the state to inform action, and without implementing its core recommendations, we remain in a reactive posture. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify in strong support.
Thank you. Let me ask, how many people are here on this measure, 3034? Okay, let's go through that then. Thank you very much. So up next is Hawaii Association for Marine Education Research. Maui Nui Resiliency Hui on Zoom.
Aloha,
Good
Kaina
afternoon.
Shiki, calling in from Maui. I'm here to lend my voice to our beaches and public trust resources because they can't show up to these meetings, nor can they hire attorneys and high-priced lobbyists. Yet our beaches and our public trust resources are the foundation of our economy and our way of life. On Maui, we are watching erosion intensify, structures become more exposed, and public risk increase, continuing to protect investments in increasingly hazardous shoreline areas while our beaches disappear is not long-term stewardship. The recent UHERO statewide study found that nearly 90% of Hawaii residents believe sea level rise is happening, and most support restricting development in flood-prone areas and willingness to relocate from high-risk areas. OPSD recommends exactly this legislation, and all details can be worked out and programs adjusted. Please advance this measure. Mahalo nui from Maui.
Thank you. Up next is Kahana Bay Steering Committee.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. Chris Delaney with Shanghai Government Strategies here on behalf of Kahana Bay Steering Committee. We are respectfully opposed to this measure because the bill has only one option on the table, managed retreat. The bill lacks recognition of any of the comprehensive solutions to protect communities, infrastructure in our coastlines, such as protective infrastructure, nature-based solutions. We are supportive of regional solutions that keep multiple tools on the table to solve this complex issue. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Up next is Kaleo Schneider. Or Mr. Bays.
Senator Lee, Senator Inouye, Senator Lamasau. My name is Bernie Bays. I'm an attorney representing the Shoreline Preservation Coalition. SPC is an organization of community groups and individuals concerned with preserving our beaches and shorelines. SPC opposes this bill in its present form. And maybe the easiest thing for me to do and the best thing to do is simply tell you what SPC's position is on this. SPC's position is that we should preserve the beaches and the properties on the beach for as long as we can. And in places or instances where that becomes untenable, we acknowledge that public acquisition is the right way to go. But we think that this bill is a little too specific in how that's being done. We're trying to do a pilot project on the North Shore right now to figure out how this would actually be done. So we oppose passing this bill out of the committee in its present form.
Thank you. That is everybody who signed up on SB 3034. Is there anyone else on this measure?
I'll just stand and support Denise Angelini.
Thank you. Okay, that said, are there questions? We're going to take a quick recess. All right, reconvening the Committee on Waterland, Culture and Arts here in Conference Room 224. Thank you for your patience, everyone. I'll note we have a hard stop in 3 minutes in this room. So what we're going to do is reconvene, we'll recess the hearing and reconvene it at 5 p.m. in Conference Room 229, which is a couple doors down, and we'll pick up then where we left off. That said, while we have 3 minutes to go, Mr. Bays, I have a question. If you come forward, please. If you would like to answer a question.
Yes.
Thanks. You testified against as well as a few of the others. But you mentioned there's a place for acquiring property and whatnot, depending on the circumstance. Is that right?
That's right. The test project is to acquire the 2 Van Emmerich parcels where the houses have already been destroyed, and the next parcel, and to require the owner of the parcel where the house is still there as part of the arrangement that he would be paid the fair market value of his house.
So let me stop you there. So I in the interest of time, what I really want to get at is, we've had, I don't know, 3 or 4 separate bills now with different kinds of mechanisms and strategies and various things. You've testified along with some of the others on them as it relates to shoreline erosion and all this sort of stuff. While some of those you testified in support on as potential measures to help resolve the situation, I'm just curious, why oppose measures that might help other folks in other situations in other communities or other beaches?
Because of the specifics of the way this bill is done, we don't oppose that. We oppose public acquisition of private properties to accommodate shoreline changes where that's the only thing that can be done. And there are going to be places like that.
Sure. So, but in the context of
this bill,
so you're only looking at one bill passing. You're assuming in the end only one bill is going to pass, I guess is my question.
You mean 2401 or?
Or whatever.
Well, we support public acquisition in certain cases. We think that's going to be necessary in certain instances, so we support that. What we don't support is the specifics of this bill. Could it be amended in ways that it could go forward and be constructive? Absolutely.
The way the bills are set up, and I didn't, they're introduced by a number of people from a number of different islands and so forth, but each of them encompasses a different strategy or a different mechanism or what have you. How I'm trying to understand how opposing those that don't fit your specific situation is going to help, because if all of those don't move, the only one is yours, but you're making a gamble that that's the one that's going to go, as opposed to having multiple vehicles and strategies. I guess what I'm getting at is...
Could this bill be amended in a way that both the Shoreline Preservation Coalition and Kahana would support it? Yes, I believe so.
If it can't, and if each bill is based on its title or other restrictions limited to one particular strategy, what then would you presume?
I think we need multiple strategies, so I totally support that. It's the specifics of this bill that we have issue with,
Okay.
not the concept at
Okay.
all. In
Thank you.
fact, we would support it.
Thank you. I do wish we had more time. We're at our hard stop here, so as I mentioned, we're going to be recessing this hearing. We're going to be reconvening it at 5 p.m. down the hall in conference room 229. So, recess.